pre-impact images. The post-impact images might take several hours to process. However, what I'd like to do is explain to you exactly the site in very high resolution imagery that the US struck today. There were three. There was Esfahan, Natanz, and Fordo. The Fordo site is the critical one because, as I will show you now, it's been carved into a mountainside. So let's just zoom in to this particular image. What you see over here is this undulating structure is in fact the entire plant itself, the nuclear reactor, a lot of it is underneath this. And the image that you see here from the 19th of June actually shows a number of vehicles lined up in the near one of the entry points. There are multiple entry points into this facility, which is largely underground, as we've mentioned. So that's one image. Let's go to another image. It'll give you a clearer idea of the lay of the land. And this is the exact terrain that we are talking about over here. Let's focus on this area. You can see this entire hillside. And this is where the Americans likely struck. This is absolutely critical because this white building, and I'll come to a close-up of that in just the next few moments, is where this white building is one of the key entry points into the nuclear reactor, which has been carved into this particular site. Zoom in even more, if we can, into that particular area, right? This gives our viewers an idea of the extent of what the terrain is. As you can see, not just the white building, pan the camera if we can, from left to right over there. This gives you an idea, as I mentioned, of the terrain. It's been carved Fordo into this, which is why the US had to penetrate this with bunker buster weaponry, very, very high powered ordnance as well. Additional facilities perhaps up there, but it's this site which is critical, which is why we're going to go to the next image, which shows you exactly what I'm going to talk about. So remember that white building that you saw in the previous picture? This is the white building. There is an artery of roads which lead into this. This leads into the underground structures, which you cannot see. This is a uranium enrichment plant. The Americans would perhaps be worried about this being the area where nuclear weapons were potentially being developed. There is an artery of roads that you can see leading up to that one entry point over here. This is another building that you see a little further up over here. But again, you don't see any overt structures. You don't see any chimneys. You don't see any buildings because Fordo has been carved into the ground. And this is one of the main areas where people enter. There are further entry and exit points over here. Zoom in where my finger is. It's actually two further entry points. An entry point into the mountain over here and another entry point over here. I'm just wondering if we can go to the previous image because these pictures tell so much. If we go to the previous image, then it'll give you a clearer idea of the terrain over here. This is a close-up of that area which America struck. If possible, we can go to the previous image. All right, we'll have that image, but before we go to that, here are two further points over here. Let's zoom in over here. This is a tunnel entry that you can see, a tunnel entry into the mountainside. There are multiple points which go into the mountain under which the hillside, the feature, the rugged feature, inside which this nuclear plant in Fordo has been located. What the Americans were doing is looking to penetrate structures like this using the GBU-57 weapon, which is a 30,000-pound bomb. It penetrates through the surface of the mountain over there and incinerates or takes out whatever there is underneath. So the previous image, right? Okay, let's go to the next image, not just this image, but this, right? This is the key picture. And I think let's focus on this. Sony, would you like to focus on this as well? I'll get both the cameras over here to focus on this terrain. Now, what was I talking about? I was talking about this white building, right, which you saw a few moments back. I was talking about entry points. These are the entry points that I spoke about. And these were the next set of entry points as well. Zoom out a little bit to where my hand is, right? So you can see two entry points over here. You can see two further entry points over here and that white building. And again, if we zoom out just a little bit more, you can see that in terms of